Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. Today we are going to have Jack Hahn on. Jack Hahn, he's got the Hockey Tactics newsletter. He has joined San Jose Hockey Now as a consultant. He's breaking down a lot of systems for us. He's talking about, for example, yesterday's play, the Matthew Schaefer goal. You can see all that at San Jose Hockey Now. So he is on. He's going to join us at the end of the show, and we're going to talk about a lot of losing for the Sharks. Losing. And we have Dan Boyle on. He's wearing a mask, so in honor of that losing, the next step for us is we're going to put on paper bags, so that might be the next episode or 2 episodes from now, so we'll see how it goes for the Sharks.
Dan's a little ahead of the curve.
Chuckles.
Before we get to it, though, I have a quick note from our sponsor. This show, like always, is free. We make it because we love talking hockey and digging deep into the Sharks for the fans that bleed teal. But it's also made possible thanks to the awesome support from BringHockeyBack.net. If you know Bring Hockey Back, you know they've been repping the Sharks for years with some really clever and funny t-shirts and just a really good feel for what makes hockey culture and Sharks culture special. They also do beautiful custom jerseys for your beer league team or for any other occasion, including weddings, I hear. So if you're into hockey and like to look fresh at the rink, check them out at bringhockeyback.net. Also use promo code San Jose Hockey Now for 50% off at all things, 15% off for all things at bringhockeyback.net. Supporting them helps support this show.
I love it. Chuckles. I can't believe you pulled that off with Chuckles breathing down your neck.
Oh, God. I feel like I'm in, I don't even know, like the worst horror movie.
There's some tongue action, dude. This is extra creepy. Oh, Jesus.
All right, the bit's over. The fucking bit is over.
Purge is over.
Woo! Got hot in here.
It's too hot for that.
I hope everybody enjoyed that. That's why you guys pay me the big bucks.
That's true.
Cover your face.
Yeah, exactly.
How's the microphone? How's the microphone level? Good?
Good.
I think it's good now.
We're live.
All right, we're going to change you back to Boiler from Chuckles now. Perfect.
Perfect.
We are going to get into, like Sheng said, we have Jack Hahn on the show later today. We've got the Sharks playing better, but still losing hockey games. Before all that, though, they took a team bonding adventure and saw some Broadway play. They saw the Book of Mormon, which I did a quick poll of Sheng and Zubair. They've never seen it. I've seen the Book of Mormon, not in New York, but in Providence, Rhode Island. And it was excellent. But, Boyle, have you ever seen the Book of Mormon?
I have. So the 2 years I played in New York, I want to say I did about 5 or 6 plays. That was one of them.
Okay.
Took a couple of the kids, but my favorite one, shocker, surprisingly weird, it was called Sleep No More. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
I know that. No. Yeah. That's a Mike Birbilia. I don't know his name, but yeah.
It's a 6-floor warehouse. Everybody puts on a mask. Okay, so everyone's got. I actually have the mask over there, which I'm going to go grab while you guys are talking. And if you wear the white mask, it means you're like part of the crowd. But then people will have different colored masks, and so you start in this bar, they give you like a card, and then depending if you're like a spade, club, heart, or diamond, you go in the elevator. And sometimes in the elevator, it'll stop on the 2nd floor, and I happened to be, I think it was Dominic Moore, they grabbed his wife, but not him, and somebody put a hand. So she started on the 2nd floor. It's called an immersive play, I believe. So for the next 2 to 3 hours, you walk around this big warehouse, and there's things going on one end of the, in one room. I was in a cemetery, or you'd be like in a chapel, and people see different things depending on where they are. And these actors so you just kind of follow and move around, and there's like, it's super weird. It was super interesting. It was right up my alley. Some people did not like it. I loved it. It was called Sleep No More. There was like an execution at the end, which was phenomenal. I saw a woman give birth to a baby. It was blood everywhere. It was freaking amazing.
My God.
And
I gotta say, Dan Boyle coming on hot, being more culturally literate than all of us on the show together. I like this. Yeah, good job, Dan.
So check it out. Anyone? It's called Sleep No More. I'm assuming it was off Broadway technically, but it was exactly what the 4 of us idiots would love to be, because you just follow this. You may see a scene that someone else may not see. You just have to be at the right place at the right time, and there's different scenes going on at once, and it was pretty freaking phenomenal.
Well, I'm not as cultured as that, but I will say I haven't seen the Book of Mormon, but I do love basketball.
Great movie.
Great movie. Also,
Fucking
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
By the same people.
A sign of elegance. So
Yeah.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Yeah, I
we
guess
get the-
Ryan Reeves has seen it like, what, 7 times, they said?
Book of
Yeah.
Mormon, yeah, and for hockey that qualifies as being into Broadway, like watching one show 7 times.
And I might be wrong, and I hope my kids don't hear this because they are here. I believe my parents, I don't know if it was New York or Vegas, but they saw something, a guy that would do, there was a whole bit with his balls and his, have you heard of this guy?
Dan, that was in Tijuana actually. So
No, like with his he would make like, it was like a puppeteer. It's called a puppeteer. Have you guys heard of this? I swear if you guys look it up.
no, I haven't.
No,
But
this
I'm
is
not
a
gonna look
thing.
it up.
You're talking about the brain? You're talking about the brain.
No,
I know that trick.
No, it was a Nick.
know that.
No, it was a whole lot. I'm gonna keep going, keep talking.
All right,
I've
we're
been in
gonna
the
keep
locker room
But my
too.
parents did say that. Keep going, keep talking.
Your
That's
parents are
amazing.
into freaky shit, Dan.
I'm telling you,
All right, you keep
this
going.
is a thing. I want to inform people on this podcast. That's what I want to do. I want to teach them new
I love
things.
it.
Educate.
Educate.
So wait, you
It's
said
called
there's
a puppet.
4 of you with Sleep No More. Was it just you and Dominic Moore and his wife, and there's somebody else?
No, there was a bunch of us that went, but I remember we stopped on an elevator. They came in, grabbed a couple people. They grabbed her, and he was going to go with. And
Yeah.
then this person in a robe is like, no. So they got
This is giving
separated.
Eyes Wide Shut
immediately.
vibes.
I see.
Yeah, it's you got
Very creepy.
Sleep No More, assuming it's still ongoing.
Sleep No More.
But
That's great.
Anywho.
I've only been to New York like twice my whole life, weirdly enough. And I got engaged in New York, so that's my.
Oh my God.
That's my. I guess not even like it's not my best. It's probably my best New York experience because I've only been twice, and one of them was when I got actually 3 times. It's been 3 times. Once I got engaged. So
Well,
puppetry of the puppetry of the penis.
that's
Look it up. Puppetry of the penis. It features 2 performers who manipulate their genitals and scrotums into various shapes and images, which display on a large overhead screen. Okay?
Definitely
Oh,
on Broadway.
it is in Las Vegas. So I was incorrect.
Definitely on
I was
Broadway.
semi-correct.
bring hockey back. Do you hear that? That's our next jersey right there.
Hey, the screen
Puppetry
adds 10
of the
pounds,
penis.
to your penis.
Yeah, I think.
promise-
Anywho, that's what my parents went to see, so the apple doesn't fall too far from the
I
tree.
promise this podcast is about hockey. I don't know when we're gonna get there. One day.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
was-
now to pivot completely, Keegan, I want to know how'd you pop the question? We're in New York. Give us the details.
So I had this whole thing, right? So we went to this.
So I had my
one
dick
of our,
and my balls out.
yeah.
Oh,
we
you
went
know
to this
what?
show called
You guys
Sleep
can
No
edit.
More.
You guys can edit all
Puppetry
this.
of
This
penis.
Hey, that's all it
You
took,
guys
eh?
can-
Keegan
you guys
just.
can edit.
Puppetry.
Edit. I apologize. I came in
A lot of
hot today.
puppetry.
I apologize.
No. We went to a Fall Out Boy concert again
Oh,
because
nice.
we love seeing
Okay.
early 2000s, punk. And I had the next day I had a plan like at a restaurant that we had been on a date, like one of our first dates was in New York. And the next day I had it whole planned out, called the restaurant. I was like, I'm going to propose during this time. We go to the Fall Out Boy concert. We have a couple drinks. We go back to the bar at the hotel, have some more drinks. We're pretty drunk. We go to the hotel room, and I just propose in the hotel room
That's
at
how
like
you gotta say yes. Good move.
at 1:30 in the morning. Because
I like it.
we're pretty drunk, and that's how I think she doesn't regret it. Hopefully, but
Were you nervous?
She won't after this show.
I was not nervous. I just wanted to get it done with. I was like, I got to do this. Like, to be romantic. She was being fucking adorable, and I was like, you know what?
Aw.
It's happening. And then the next day, like the restaurant was like looking at me like this, like, and I was like, no, I already did. It's fine.
I did.
It's fine.
Aw, that's awesome.
It was great. We had a great time. Probably my
Was
best
she
New York
surprised?
story.
Like she didn't know it was coming or anything.
She knew. She knew already. Like she was
Oh,
like,
she knew.
"Oh yeah,
Okay.
we're going to New York on our anniversary of our we've been together for 5 years at that point." She's like, "Oh yeah, okay, all right." But, so she knew. But
Probably not at 1:30 in the morning at the hotel, though.
no, she was surprised at that.
So that's
point.
nice. Yeah.
Don't know if I had pants on or not either. So it was like, man, that could have been puppetry.
Yeah.
For sure.
Puppetry of the penis.
How about you guys? You guys have
Somebody
any
else
other?
share some other experience besides me?
Yeah, any other New York stories? Schenger's here in New York right now.
Well, I met my wife here, and I'm now divorced.
Hey,
Jesus.
damn it, Sheng.
It's an emotional roller coaster of the first 10 minutes of the pod today.
Yeah, from penis to engagement to divorce.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Damn it, Sheng.
The circle of life.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
There's a penis somewhere in there. It's in the middle or it's in the beginning. I'm not sure where, but
People are going to Google what the Google search on puppetry of the penis is going to go up like
exactly. What were you
3%.
talking for that?
3%.
Yeah.
At least 3. You want royalties at this point.
From 0 to.
I hope at least 12.
From
folks,
0
at
to 3, people are going to
least. At
look
least
it
a
up.
foot long, at least a foot long improvement.
All right. Zubair, what do you got?
New York stories. I mean, I love New York. I guess story wise, I mean, the one that comes to mind off the bat is like last year my wife and I went to New York and there's not any particular moment. It was just the best time ever. Like springtime in New York is just paradise. I love the city. Sheng and I have talked about it a couple of times.
I agree.
We just great food. Walk through
No
Central
better place in the
Park.
world. Yeah.
No better
Spring
place
and
in the
fall.
world.
Spring and
It's
fall.
just
Yeah.
unreal. Like we just walked through Central Park hungover because we were partying at some like Afrobeat club the night before that a buddy of mine who lives in Brooklyn recommended, and it was just, I mean, everyone. It's just so much to do. It's. I just love that city. I feel like it's a rite of passage as an American to live there at some point in your life. You know what I mean? Like, are you really an American if you haven't lived in New York once? Right?
Lived or visit? Lived or visit?
Lived. You got to live there once in your life. I still want to. I never have.
Americans except for me and Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I would want to live there.
No?
I enjoyed visiting Manhattan, but I would never want to live there in a million years.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing place, Dan. So you're not a real American either, and you're not because you're from Ottawa. So.
And
Well,
I'm
you
not.
could live there and leave and not like it, and that's probably the most New Yorker thing ever.
You know what? I probably would have liked it at a different part of my life, but not as a retired. At this stage of my life, it's not something.
No, yeah.
At a younger age, for sure, it's vibrant. You can literally eat out every night of the week in New York for like your lifetime, and you would not have even eaten at 10% of the restaurants, probably.
100%.
So this just reminded me of something that happened like 2 days ago when I was in Mexico. So I was in Cabo with celebrating a buddy's 50th, and one of the days, Saturday morning, we had this like ATV ride on the beach and through this river, which was pretty awesome. Like riding ATVs on like through a river, and it was great. And while they're gearing us up, this place felt pretty scammy, and they had this little box of sea turtles. And I overhear what these two women are listening, and I'm overhearing the pitch, and they're like, "If you pay us $5, we will give you a couple of these sea turtles, and you can on the ATV ride go unleash them back into the ocean." And I'm like, and then I just get like instantly triggered, and I go over there, and I'm like, "Dude, this is a fucking scam." Like you picked them up and brought them here, and now you're having people pay to bring these turtles back to the ocean.
That's
like,
weird.
Just go put them in the ocean. Like, you know, do the right thing. So I got some more information about like the yoke and all that stuff, but it was a total scam, and I called them out. And these two women just start like, they walk away and they're like, "Yeah, this is crazy." And then they start laughing. They're like, "Are you from New York? Because you sound like a New Yorker right now." And I was like, "No, I'm from California, but I call a scam
Now
out
we
when
want
I
to
see
say
it."
hello on the podcast to Tiffany and Amy.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us.
Weirdly enough.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, let me tell you a New York story that is a very Californian and New York story, actually. So when I moved here for grad school in 2008, and I'm from LA, so I don't know anything about subways or anything like that. I've never before that, I've never really taken any public transportation. Like they have trains in LA, but no one takes them. Anyway, so 2008, whatever, like I'm out late, right? So across the platform, like it's late, drunk, so this girl says, "Hey, if you come over here, I'll make out with you." I'm like, "Okay." So
You said yes. Yeah, that's how you get your kidney stolen, Sheng.
So I walked
puppetry
across,
of the penis.
I walked across the platform. It was I think Williamsburg, and I didn't know what a third rail was. And so I just walked.
Is that a
on,
sexual
on
position
top,
that you put
yeah. No, third rail is electrified. Actually, it's when you go to a Manhattan subway, the subway line. They have a rail over another rail. A third rail. The third rail is the electrified part. So if you step on it, you'll die. And so I stepped on the above it though. And so I crossed from the south side of the platform to the north side, and we made out. And
you almost died for this.
I didn't know what a third rail was. I would have. Yeah, that's a very good said. No idea what a train is, and so. Yeah,
is that a real thing? Like, if you touch this thing, you'll die. We need a New Yorker on this podcast. I don't.
This is great.
You guys don't know what a third rail is?
No, well, not only the sexual position, but that's it.
Yeah, I was gonna
I don't think it's a sexual position.
All right, so Book of Mormon, Revo.
Right.
That's
Bring
how
a
we
full
got
circle.
Yeah.
That's how we got here.
Sleep no more.
Exactly.
Book of Mormon.
In this case with Sheng, I don't know if the penis is the puppet or the puppet master.
I don't know.
Yeah. Risking your life for a makeout. I don't know who's thinking.
I had no idea what a third rail was. I didn't know that I could die.
Did she cross with you?
No, she was on the other side. She was on like the north.
She's
side.
like, come make out with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Did she like know about the third rail and this was like a test of like?
I have no idea. I
Again,
never
this
saw
is how you. She wanted your kidney, man.
Like
She was
how many
hoping you would
victims?
get electrified.
Yeah, how many victims didn't make the cross before Shengers?
Well, they probably weren't. They probably didn't even cross because they knew what a third rail was. So again, I hope you guys are all looking at the third rail. Like literally, like there would be no podcast if I stepped on the third rail.
It might not be a San Jose Sharks even.
No, they're San Jose Sharks. They do just fine without me. But
right. We need to move on. So
and
Sheng,
talk about San Jose Sharks. A very good segue.
Yes, we need to move on. Sheng, talk about this Dellandrea prank that occurred before we get into all the sadness of losing the Sharks have had.
Well, it seems related to everything that we were talking about earlier. But okay, so I just think this prank is so hilarious. So want to make sure you guys see the story. So on Spitting Chicklets, they had Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith on. Macklin and Will told a story of for 2 months into their season last year, they were roommates on the road, and they would go up to their hotel room on the road for 2 months in a row, and there would be a gift waiting for them in the toilet. And for 2 months, they had no idea who left these gifts for them. And eventually they found out that it was Ty Dellandrea. So for 2 months, Ty explained to me that what he would do is they would go into the hotel and they had the room keys laid out. So he would take, Will and Mac had 2 keys. He would take one of their keys. But the reason why they didn't suspect him though is because, as Ty explained it, he was out with them everywhere else except for when he was pooping in their toilet. So he had dinner with them. So anyway, as the story goes, basically, do not trust the ones closest to you. So if that prank starts happening to me, I'll know it's one of you guys because it's always the ones who are closest to you. So
that's a sneaky prank. Like, is he down in an espresso? Like, how is he timing this?
Right? Yeah,
that's like
it's the dedication there is fantastic. I have no notes.
Apparently, they got the truth out of Nico Sturm one day, and that's why Nico was traded. No, I'm just joking. That's not why Nico was traded. But anyway, so Will and Mac, we don't know the details of it, but they ruined Ty Dellandrea's room, and he won't say exactly what they did. Will and Mac wouldn't say exactly what they did. I just hope that they left a hefty tip. And I believe it was a St. Louis hotel room, so I hope that the Sharks or Mac and Will and Ty left a hefty tip. And we'll leave it at that. And I guess for Dan, you've been seeing a lot of pranks. Just where does this rate? This is a pretty impressive one, right? This is staying for 2 months.
I can't say. Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that before. I was never the receiver of that prank, thankfully. I talked about a few on this podcast about some good ones. This is not necessarily a prank, but Joe Thornton. I would not talk about this, but I feels like it's already out there. I think Jason Merce might have talked about it publicly, but Jumbo, Joe Thornton, on the road, a lot of guys like to be by themselves, myself included. Want your own room, you get your own room. But Joe, I think, had roommates like the whole way through, or whatever.
Oh, really? That's interesting because he's the veteran.
Yeah, yeah. At a certain point, there was a if you have played X amount of games or years or something, you got your own room, because for many years you would have a roommate everywhere you went. And there's so many stories about Jumbo who didn't like to be alone, liked to be with the boys. And I remember Jason Demers telling me stories like he would come up to his room and he'd open the door and, Joe would be in bed, because they always give you 2 beds, right? They give you like a double queen. Joe would be on one of them. Hey, what's up? And room service would come in and he'd like, okay. Or like, there'd be nights where like we'd go to dinner and JD would come home and Jumbo was like passed out. He had ordered like a movie on his TV or whatever. So it's not like a prank, but like Jumbo would like to go to other guys' rooms, order room service, order movies, and just hang out.
Well,
And,
Joe,
I just
Joe
always
Thornton
thought
would
I thought that
drop
was
off.
super fucking.
Yeah.
I thought that was super fucking weird, but I think he didn't like being alone or something on the road. I don't know.
Says the guy.
Hydra left one sort of gift, and Joe Thornton left a gift of himself.
Yeah. It wasn't anything gross. It was just a movie, room service, and
I feel like
yeah,
I've heard a variation of that too. Where I think it was Demers where he like took a dump too and then left. Thornton did.
that is very possible. Yeah, I mean, he was treating.
He ordered. So he's like, let's watch a movie. They pass out, and then he and then he wakes up, takes a dump, and leaves.
That's very possible. And like I said, I was not going to share that, but I think it's out there. I think JD publicly talked about it. So
Yeah.
very possible.
So you didn't welcome Joe Thornton in your room? You're like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, because I like my space. No, he would go to like the younger guys, like Mitchie and Setaguchi and I think JD and he had his guys. He had his like a handful of guys.
Yeah.
For me, it was with the kids and stuff. It was time away, and I loved having my own room and privacy and all that.
Wearing your mask in the corner
Jumbo,
of the room.
just
Chuckles.
watching
watching Human Centipede in the corner.
By yourself.
Yeah. It'd be weird if I was like, "Hey boys, want to come watch the Human Centipede with me?"
I got this great new movie. It's called Hostel. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
That was probably relevant around that time.
All right, so I'm gonna maybe turn. Like, are we gonna? Let's talk Sharks hockey. Maybe
Let's do it.
Do it.
We got
one more.
crazy.
We're 32 minutes in. We haven't spoken about the Sharks.
All right,
We just talked
really.
about Joe Thornton and
That's true. That's true.
So one last little thing that I think is interesting to talk about is Warsofsky's quote, which was interesting. And
I gave up one of my children for a fucking win.
so I just got to say a quick opinion here. I don't think he needed to apologize. We know it's a fucking joke. He's
is
passionate.
a joke.
It's a fucking joke.
Has anyone complained? Has anyone said anything?
No,
I don't know. He
auto-apologized,
apologized.
He shouldn't have said that. No,
I know, like you don't need to.
You guys are married or have been married or will get married, so maybe you do have to apologize.
So this question for Dan is, which kid?
I feel like you know what you're wearing your heart in your sleeves. Like I appreciate what he's trying to get at, which is he's trying to make a statement that I'll do anything for a fucking win. And
he's joking. I know.
Whatever.
I'm just saying that.
I appreciate
who knows exactly what led to the apology. One thing I would say though is that I don't know how you guys know how viral this went. If the Daily fucking Mail is writing about the Sharks and the Sharks coach saying this exact quote, then you've gone viral and for the wrong reasons. Okay, so that's all. So it went worldwide. This quote, basically, a winless coach offering to sacrifice his children for one regular season win.
Well, didn't Elliot Friedman report it too, and like everything as well? I think Elliot Friedman talked about it.
I'm talking about it's gone beyond Elliot, right? If it goes to Elliot, that's like
Daily
big
Mail
for
is beyond it.
Daily Mail is like they were putting on Taylor Swift. That's who they care about. They don't give a fuck about the Sharks, except it's when it's Ryan Warsofsky talking about,
Yeah.
it
would pass immediately if he didn't say anything, but I guess he had to apologize.
I'm good with it.
I have no problem.
Very good with it.
I'm just saying that it went rolled wide is all.
Yeah.
And then to transition to the Sharks, let's get right into what we've seen the last couple of
Dan
games.
had a story though about give us a crazy coach quote.
I mean it's a shocker. It's a John Tortorella story.
Yeah,
shocker. And for those of you that I'm going to take you back to 2004, the year we won the Cup. In the semifinals, we played against the Philadelphia Flyers, and Ken Hitchcock. I got to be careful. Puppetry of the penis. Ken Hitchcock.
Ken Hitch, Puppetry of the penis.
Was the Flyers coach, and I don't know what brought it on. I don't remember because my brain is too fuzzy. But at some point, Torts said, "Shut your yap." I don't know if you guys remember that vaguely, but next thing you know, I think we had lost. Maybe it was game 6 or something, and it became "Shut your yap." The next day, there were T-shirts and signs "Shut your yap," and it like deflected almost the loss of the team, and it became like it became its own thing. And I don't know, it felt like in a weird way it allowed us. It like we came together around our coach, talking shit about another coach. Now this is different. He's talking shit about his own team, kind of, but in a way that was him, talking shit. Then it became like a media thing. Shut your yap, blah blah blah, and it just deflected a little bit of pressure away from us. And I thought it was one of those little kind of like maybe coaching tactics.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
It could be a coaching tactic to say something like that. You never know. These coaches are fucking weird. But I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to be the only winners coach in the league right now, for sure.
Well, the Sharks lost their last game, so or their next game. So. It didn't work.
Almost.
But it was outside of the Vegas game and the egregious mistakes by Nedeljkovic, I think it was the only game of the season that the Sharks deserved to win.
Which one are you talking about?
And as we've talked about before, it's not necessarily a score. They played winning hockey against the Islanders.
They did. They played well. Yeah, let's talk about real hockey now.
They played winning hockey. So
it's the one game I didn't see. I will say this: I talked about the Pittsburgh game. I watched, start to finish.
They were good in Pittsburgh. I thought they would play winning hockey.
I thought they were too. I thought there was like a 10-minute swing somewhere where Pittsburgh owned their ass. I think it was in the first period.
Yeah. First period was a little rough.
But I will say this: Macklin Celebrini was awesome that game. I thought he was the best player on the ice. Headsy, his passes were fucking crisp. He was you could tell he was determined to win. I absolutely loved his game.
Boilers, you got to watch the Islanders game because you see another level to Celebrini. And I was going to tell you guys, I was going to tell you guys this. Now I'm like Celebrini captain next year. After the Islanders game, I was like, okay, I get it. Like,
do you see how defeated Macklin looks after these press conferences? Do you want to subject him to that 30 times next year?
Well, you know what, dude? He was a man on a mission in the Islanders game.
It was great.
Well, I saw the start of the Pittsburgh game. In the Pittsburgh game, I thought because I didn't love him the couple games before. I remember I talked about the Terminator last week, being a Terminator and analyzing within fractions of a second. Who am I playing against? Where am I playing? Whatever. So the Anaheim game, I talk about being an individual on a team sport, So I'm going to push players to be selfish at times, play their game, I didn't like the 3-on-3 when he tried to beat a couple guys to go down the other way. They score the overtime goal.
Yeah.
Okay. I want him to do that 5-on-5 at times.
Yeah.
But that moment, it was a poor moment, a poor decision in my opinion. That was high risk, low reward. And they go and lose the game in the extra point. Okay. So I want him to try that because I think he can do that. It's just the timing of it. So I didn't love the first couple games into the series or in the season from what I saw. And I will watch the Islander game now, but the next, like the Pittsburgh game, I thought he was the best player on the ice for either team. And hopefully it sounds like he's continued that. And he's been awesome. He was awesome on the Pittsburgh game, and hopefully, sounds like he was really good the last game as well. There's a time and a place for everything, and that's what you learn as you get more experience. And that's what I want to see from some of these other younger guys, that when they're 2-3 games in, they're going to make mistakes. But when you're 10, 15, 20, 25 games in, you can't be making those mistakes again anymore.
One of the things that I saw from him in the Islanders game was Pelech tried to hit him a couple of times and get under his skin. And, he's playing against some big D-men and Polak as well. And then Horvat off the face-off, tried to go after him a little bit. He was just like, I don't care. I am just here to score goals and make this team win. And I don't know. Anytime I see those youngsters out there, I'm worried for them a little bit just because of the heavy bodies of the NHL. Sure. And I just love Macklin, and I want him to do well. And you're worried about your boy, but dude, he just shook it off.
You don't have to worry about him that way, yeah.
You don't. He takes it. He avoids the hits. He in fact engages, and this is one of the things that, dude, it's awesome. That's
contagious, man. That's contagious.
Yes,
absolutely. That's how you start culture, and that's how you build teams. And that's the
Keegan
kind of shit.
We talked with people before the Sharks even drafted him, Kobe Cohen, and I just spoke with Jay Pandolfo too, his coach at BU. And both of them basically said that Macklin, as a 17-year-old, could have stepped into the NHL playoffs and been a third-line center, a reasonably good third-line center. And we saw that from the jump with the Sharks. He's not as
an
polished,
alpha.
but he's strong. He's low to the ground. You can't knock him off, and he just kind of remarkable that way.
And he's also we talk about this a little bit on this podcast the last couple episodes, and I love talking about the mental part of the game, and that goes back to some of the Graf quote where I think, Sheng, you asked the question in the post game.
I did, yeah. I just asked him what he's learned from losing, all this losing.
Yeah, and it was he even said, that's a great question to Shengers, and those are fantastic questions. And he talks about the mental part of the game. He's like, you take the hits, you play the day-to-day, but it's the mental part. And Dan, you've talked about this a couple of times. And what I liked about his mental part of the game is he's aware of the player he is. I don't take him as one of those guys that avoids confrontations like some players do. You saw him first, that's probably the biggest hit I've ever seen him lay out was the one to prevent the empty net goal against the Penguins.
Yeah.
He had that hit at the end of the game. I'm like, okay, first year he had that. Now he's throwing a little hip check, right?
I love that.
I love that. That's what you need from your leaders. And then, anything to win. And now in this game, he's not going to be in the scrums. But at the end of the day, he's battling on the ice between the whistles.
He was the last guy in the Islanders game, if you watch to the very end, and with seconds left, the Islanders are trying to clear the puck out finally. He's on the ground, sprawled out, just doing desperate just to try to keep it in and just get the weakest ass shot on net, and hopefully that beats Sorokin. We talk about Macklin in such superlatives all the time on the podcast, but it is deserved. We got to talk about the rest of the team because, well.
Yeah. Well, I think it is important to note that I think Macklin, even in the beginning, like Boyle was saying, he was having a lot of there's some unforced errors there, and he was trying to do too much. But now it kind of feels like it's Macklin trying to do, Macklin things. He's doing the things that we know that Macklin can do, which is something special. So I really hope that he continues to, even though he's going to make a ton of mistakes, and like the overtime goal from last week or whatever, where he gives it up, they score. But eventually those kind of plays are going to start turning into wins rather than losses for them. So I think you just give him free reign and let him go, because he's really the only one that's driving the bus for the Sharks. It feels like I'm
not benching him for anything because you take away his creativity.
Well, so here's, and I want to hear Dan's take, because I said last week after that giveaway in overtime, because and I want to hear Dan, because I actually see that same competitiveness in Dan, where I was like, and I got some kickback from this, but I was saying, as a coach, if you make a mistake like that, someone like Macklin, he doesn't necessarily need more reps. And he's aware of what he did. But starting Wenberg in overtime, who has a more defensive sort of mindset, not an offensive upside. And by the way, we'll talk about Wenberg maybe or maybe not a little bit, but I think he's been playing pretty bad, actually, overall. But I felt like you could teach him a lesson by not necessarily giving Macklin extra time in overtime, but being like, hey, we're letting you sit this one out. You need to learn from that. But I don't know. You've talked about opportunity as well. So what do you think?
Right. Okay, so my 2 cents, there are certain players, not everyone, I don't think you need to teach him any lessons. I don't think he is the type of player that needs to be benched. There are players that are so self-motivated, and I will put myself in that category. You didn't need to bench me. You didn't need to come yell at me. I fucking knew when I fucked up. I didn't need to be benched. I was so hard on myself, and I feel like Logan was very similar. Cooch was very similar, very self-aware, very hard on himself. There are certain players that I think you don't need to bench. You don't need to yap. You don't need to, like, once in a while there might be a play that I wasn't getting or Macklin's not seeing or whatever. That's fine. That's teaching. But as for benching, I don't think he's the type of player that needs that. That's not what I'm seeing right now. I would personally say, hey man, 3-on-3 in overtime, probably not the time you want to try to go through 2 guys when you're, it's 3-on-3. There's, you only got 1 guy left. Like try that 5-on-5. I got no problem with it.
Yeah.
During the first period, second period, maybe not when there's a minute left in the third, but like, just understand the situation. Totally. And that's all I would personally say. I would not for more than a second tell him, anything other than that. I think some guys are just cut out to be self-aware, and they care, and you can tell.
Learn.
Everyone cares, but you can tell some guys care just a little bit more. We've talked about that before. Yeah. You can tell there are certain guys, and I think he's one of those guys.
Well, that reminds me of the goal on Nabby in the playoffs in OT. Yeah, you. And
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. But no, you said it. You're like, dude, I wanted the next game to start right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about, and that's why I thought it'd be a fair question, because I do stand corrected, and hearing it, I do say like you don't let him not start overtime, and especially Sheng knows this. Like I was gonna put the maximum amount of money on him as rookie of the year last year, $10,000 in Vegas on Macklin, because I was like, I know him. I've been watching him. He's gonna be the best player. Yeah. And I was gonna put $10,000 on him, and for whatever reason, my buddy was in Vegas, didn't put the money down, but thank God, because I would have lost it.
Yeah.
but that's how I love Macklin, right? But I was like, from a coaching perspective, what's the best for his development? But you're 100% right. Hearing it out, like, he's a unique player. He doesn't need that.
I think I've mentioned this before, and that's why I love Marty St. Louis as a coach. That's why I think Montreal is having a lot of success. I think Marty is behind that. And I remember in his first press conference before he started coaching, he talked about coaching individuals in a team sport. And you don't coach player A the same way you coach player B and C moving down. So
it's like being a parent. You don't parent each kid the same way.
Exactly.
Well, teacher,
or a teacher, right? Like, yes, you're teaching the same subject.
Yeah.
But certain kid may need certain types of information that another kid, or direction that another kid may not. With him, I would never worry about something like that. But like I said, there's always video. There's always a, hey man, here's the deal, but you got this.
Speaking of a little bit, Warsofsky says something similar about teaching different players different ways. And he says the right things. But what I wonder with you guys is there a hot seat with him? I know that I'm kind of, it's off the board topic, but what do you guys think of what he's doing?
The coach, meaning like time to shelf life, like at what point is
just the hot seat? Yeah. Like,
I have some thoughts there that I've been thinking about recently, which was, if this continues for a little bit longer, I think he may be on the hot seat. Yeah.
That's why I bring it up, because they've lost 6 in a row. They have played better the last 2 games. Give them that. I don't tend to think so, but I mean, if you keep losing at a certain point.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's 2 things that come to mind, and I'm just thinking out loud here, but when you see other rookies, and obviously they might be higher prospects like Schaefer, or and you see these rookies just drop into the NHL level. And again, this could be about also the veterans they're surrounded by, right? We don't have a Barzell, right? Like we don't have like a lot of the guys that the Islanders have. Like they're kind of like a lot of the guys. So I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is that. But at the same time, you see a lot of like Lane Hudson also surrounded by better guys. But you see people come into the league and they're just given, it feels like, more confidence to play their game. And I feel like the Sharks were just kind of like, it's like everything is like sort of a slap on the wrist, and obviously it's a results oriented game and you need to win. And I think a lot of it's because of that. And when you've been last place for as long as we have, and now you're not winning again, and now you're supposed to, and there's statements been made, right? There's been contradictory statements. Like I think Warsofsky said that, he didn't intend to change the lines. He doesn't like changing lines up too much. He said this during training camp, and he wants to kind of stick with lines and keep them consistent. We've been seeing significant line shuffling. And I actually like the line shuffling. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit, but
yeah, I don't feel it's contradictory though, because they've been lost every game though.
but that's my point. You think you have it figured out as a coach, and you don't. It's the contradictory statement I think that puts you on the hot seat. Wherein if you're like, hey, we expect the season to go XYZ, we may change lines and adjust, but you have those sorts of things where you have the experience, which obviously being the youngest coach in the league and not winning a lot of games, and obviously he hasn't been dealt the best hand. But again, like going back to play the other point of it, I do see a lot of positive development from a lot of the young Sharks players. But I think this is still playing out to Mike Greer's plan. So in that case, I think he's somewhat safe, but I think he's on the hot seat a little bit.
I think like you're saying, I think the expectations for Warzov changed from last year to this year, and I think the Hasso interview like outlined that, right? Like he's like, we want to be better. We don't want to be in the McKenna sweepstakes, and as of now, we are squarely in the McKenna sweepstakes for getting Gavin McKenna or getting the first overall pick, right? Like haven't won a game. We're the only team in hockey that hasn't won a game. So the expectations from last year were, development league or development year for Celebrini, for Smith, doesn't matter what happens. This year, I think there's a switch, and I think the frustration that Warzow's experiencing and showing, right, like banging his head against the glass or saying, I'd give up one of my kids for a win, is because he knows the expectations have changed as well.
Correct.
Maybe, yeah. So, we don't know this for a fact, but yeah,
these are my opinions. But
but not also your opinions, because to your point, Hasso did say in the interview that Greer even told him not this year.
Yeah,
from McKenna. So I actually
he's got to start winning some hockey games. I don't think it's like next week if he doesn't win a hockey game he's fired. I think it's Christmas time if we're still we're like 0-12-4 or like 1 win and 12 losses. I think maybe that's when.
I want to say this very much in fairness to Warsofsky though, that this is not his team. It is Mike Greer's team.
Well, that's
how every coach is.
And look, though, right? And you brought in, and Sheng brought up this point last week, where some of the pressures on the veterans, and if you bring in a Klingberg, who has a history of injuries the last couple of years, that's a gamble, right? And if he hits, great, but also he's not been hitting. He's got to be playing games and being at full health. So it's not on Warsofsky. He's also playing with the hand he's got, and I think. The NHL is not a development league, but again, going back to it, you have people. A lot of these people, like even Celebrini, these high prospects are liabilities before their assets. Mm-hmm. Like even last year, Celebrini, incredible rookie season, but you look at his plus minus, or he's not a positive contributor to the team in terms of winning hockey games. He's doing it individually, but you got to be a plus player to do that. And in this season, Dickinson is going to be a liability before he's an asset. Same with Misa. And you're starting to see that trend. So I think he's got a little bit of leeway because of his – I am seeing development from some of the younger players. But to the larger question, yeah, I do think if the losses keep happening, and if the Sharks are not playing good hockey, last 2 games, Pens and Islanders, Sharks playing good hockey. I can watch that. I can watch good hockey even if they're losing. Playing bad hockey – I can't tolerate that. Like, that's just hard to watch. Like the Carolina game, all of us, like, that was brutal.
Well, the Utah game was terrible too.
I have some input here for all the GMs that are watching the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. Okay, this is what you do as a GM.
Yeah,
this is what you do. This is what you do. It's fucking simple. When you start doubting your coach, you go to your 6, 7, 8 guys that you trust. You bring them into your office and you say, this stays between you and me. And you say, what are your thoughts on the guy behind the bench? You get the players that are in there. It is a result-based sport, or all sports are, really. Doesn't matter if it's fucking baseball or football. You're not winning games, you're going to go as a coach. But if you want a true pulse feeling on what the players feel and how they feel about who they have behind, you talk to your guys. And that's where I think in the past it's happened. I'm not going to say who and when, but if you want to know how the players feel about the coach that they're playing for, that's who you go to. And you might be surprised. You might have guys saying, hey, it's not his fucking fault. We're playing like shit. We're not stopping pucks. We're making mistakes. This is not on the coach. Or worst, the other end of it would be, hey man, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's not motivating us properly. He's getting us to. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just giving you the spectrum here. But I think at some point, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for Gurzy to maybe talk to a few of the guys, see how it's going, because the four of us idiots can talk about it, myself included. We're not in the locker room. We don't really know what's going on. And having played 18 years, played with many coaches, I realized, and I think I told you this before, I realized as I retired how important coaching is, which for a while there I didn't understand or realize or give coaches that much credit because I thought it was all about the players. But they have a very important part in it. And I think that players have a lot to say about, who they want as their leader behind the bench. And that might not be a bad thing for Gurzy to look into, shortly. Hopefully that's not the case. We get some wins and we start forgetting about this podcast and this conversation. But hopefully, because you could possibly just have a bad team and you're like, this is a great coach. He's motivating us. He's preparing us properly. It's on us, the players. We're just not getting it done. And I've been part of that as well, not for a full year, but there's been times where on losing streaks, it's not about the coach. It's about the fucking players.
I think a lot of times it's how you play too. And so I think the last 2 games were respectable. And those are kind of efforts that will help keep Warsofsky his job. I remember when the Sharks started off 0-10-1, and it was after the back-to-back 10-goal losses, Vancouver and Pittsburgh. And I think they were like 0-8-1 at that point or something like that. And I asked David Quinn point blank, are you worried about your job security? And I get along with David very well. That's the one time he was mad at me, but it was a fair question at that time because the way they were playing, and it wasn't his fault. The team was bad. And so in this case, though, with Warsofsky, then the question mark just becomes are they playing hard for him still? And then the other part, which Zubair mentioned, is that the young players are, I see improvement with the young players, even if we want to move on topics, because we really don't know exactly what will happen. With Warsofsky, just wins will have to come. If he keeps losing, of course, at some point, even if he's losing well, right? It just, But
so I'm on the podcast, but how did Misa and Dickinson play in the Islanders game? I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's actually what I want to get the next topic. Yeah. And we've seen
how did they
both those guys. I'll jump in first. Dickinson, as we talked on the last podcast, was not very good in the Carolina game, right? I think that's pretty self-evident. Yep. He knows too. But you see that did not send him in a tailspin. I'm not saying that's all Warsofsky's doing, right? But whatever buttons that Warsofsky is a part of or pushing, that Dickinson got. Pittsburgh game was arguably his best one. Yeah, even with the Islanders, absolutely. he had rough moments. There was one goal that was scored that was the Sazika's goal yesterday, which was basically was off his
100%
stick,
his fault.
basically. But
Yeah, it was pretty much on him. And
He sent a
his-
pass up the middle.
well, there was a
yeah,
forecheck
just-
on him. I mean, there's different factors.
But you
of it,
eat
right?
the
He was
puck.
like, he,
But
yeah,
you eat the
yeah,
puck.
he-
And it was the fourth line. He
Right.
felt the pressure of a fourth line, like men on him, and he panicked.
But in sort of how he dealt with that mistake, though,
Yes.
otherwise in that game,
Absolutely.
he made a lot of great plays.
Absolutely
And
agree.
actually, Warsofsky
Yep.
had like a terrific quote when asked about Sam after the game, and it's on the website because I transcribed all of these. I thought it was actually an excellent quote where he talked about, yeah, he did make that mistake, and he's got to learn. And we've talked a lot to him about his processing and how fast the
Yes.
game is, et cetera. But Ryan Warsofsky added that he also made the play that led to the Adam Gaudette goal, Michael Misa's first point. And then he made the extra point that, look, you see the other side with Matthew Schaefer. Matthew Schaefer makes mistakes too, but they just didn't end up in the back of the net. And the way things are going for us now, like we make a mistake and it ends up in the back of our net. And so he was, on the balance, he really was actually stepping up and speaking up for his young defensemen. And I see some of the comments online about, oh, Warsofsky doesn't like younger players. And I think that's like the furthest thing from the truth. I think
people
he's
saying that?
balancing a lot of things here in terms of there's veterans that are big minute players, right? That you have these youngsters who aren't really shouldn't be playing 20 minutes a night, 20 whatever big minutes yet, and they are making mistakes, but he is trying to keep them in and trying to keep their spirits up. And so I think he's handled Will Smith last year well overall. We saw William Macklin become a better player under him. And so I think that in terms of Ryan Warsofsky, I think his main job is, some people think it's to win games, but I think it's actually primarily to make sure that these younger players get better. And I think by and large, they are.
And to your point, last year Warsofsky said something that comes to mind, and I wanted to bring up a little earlier, which was he said a lot of teams fail the rebuild when they skip really crucial steps in development. And particularly, and I'm paraphrasing, but shortcutting, professional habits. And so if he's dialing those professional habits in, and it comes at some losses, but we're developing not just, players like you can see Schaefer go and score a goal, and you're like, great, because it's on the score sheet, and that's, to the point being made earlier that everything ends up, it's a results driven game, but
Sure.
at the same time, if you want a championship team, you have to dial in those professional details, and those do take time to develop in any player.
Yeah. There was a lot of controversy when he benched, and you saw this game, Dan, when he benched Ty Dellandrea and Will Smith and Colin Graf for the last part of the first period. But he was right to. If you watch the replay, Will Smith leaves the zone before full possession.
Which game are you talking?
The Utah game. It was the Utah game.
Yeah,
the first period of the Utah game.
Yeah.
After the second goal. And because it's Will Smith and he has a lot of fans and whatnot, people were upset at that, but I don't think he did anything wrong there. And Will is a player that needs a little bit more of the.
We got Jack.
Oh, hey Jack.
We got Jack.
You're on here early.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're still talking Sharks hockey, so
Good.
Well, I want to say one thing, and I said it.
Yeah.
I think I said it last week or the week before. I'm not sure. The plus minus thing. So, plus minus thing is to the average fan, they're going to look at that. Somebody's a plus player. Well, he must be playing a lot better. But as I said to you in Tampa, I think teams, and they might do it on their own. I'm not sure, but I'm more concerned about over the course of a game, what does the player do that helps prevent a goal, or defensively, is he, if he's on the ice and he's got nothing to do with the goal and he's a -1, that's got nothing to do with him, and he shouldn't be penalized for that. And vice versa, you skate on the ice because there's a change, you're skating halfway up the ice and someone scores a goal and woo, I'm +1. I didn't do shit to affect the play whatsoever. So as far as players go, I would like teams, and I'm sure a lot of teams do, where they look at chances for, chances against, not just the final result,
For sure.
to see how much of an effect a player has in a game. So pick any young player you want, he might be +1 or +2 in that game, but he could possibly be -6 if you just look at gameplay. And that's, for me, I'm not a coach, I would look at that more importantly because he would be -6 on chances against and for as far as his play than the actual score sheet of being a +2 player. That's more
Jack,
important.
feel free to welcome, by the way, Zubair.
Yeah,
nice
sorry.
to meet you, Jack.
Welcome to
Long
Jack
time
on.
subscriber as well.
We never had 5 people on the podcast at once. This is
We got a
impressive.
full
You don't have me.
lineup.
You don't have me for much longer. I have to go watch
All
Human
right,
Centipede 4. They sent me a quick an early release, and I got to go.
Did any
So,
other thoughts
I'm-
about the games that you saw, or any other players you wanted to highlight? I know you said Celebrini had
I mean,
couple
Graf.
of-
I think Graf is a player that I like. I think
Yeah.
I want to see him get a little more opportunity. I think Misa, the Pittsburgh game that I saw, I didn't like his. I mean, he's young, right? He's young. He's inexperienced. He's nervous. But I could tell in the Pittsburgh game he missed. It was one shift. I think he missed a goal, and then you can see. And I didn't see the Islander game, but you could see that just getting a shot on net, getting an opportunity. And I feel like he got 2 or 3 in the Pittsburgh game that were really close. So I want to see how he progresses.
You're gonna love it. He had a nasty apple on the Islanders.
Yeah, he had a very
game.
good assist.
Yeah,
in
see,
the-
that's
in
it.
the
That's all it
Islanders
takes
game.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And it takes just that confidence level going up.
He'll figure it out.
I think obviously, I'm not thrilled with some of the goals that I've seen that we're letting in. Goalies have a say in that. I don't think they're bad goalies. I just think that probably not a great start as far as the goal. From what I've seen, I haven't seen every game, right? The Islander game, I did see a couple of clips, guys picking corner, top left. I think it was Horvat's goal, I believe. Like, that's a good fucking goal. Like, guys are good.
Yeah.
Guys are picking corners.
That was
I'm
a
not
great
gonna
shot.
blame- I'm not going to blame the goalie on that, but I think the goaltending
the other
can certainly
three-
pick up. Yeah, and defensively, obviously, we talked about bringing guys in, and I want to see more. I need to see more. I haven't seen enough from the new blood, or not
Well,
new
Are you
blood.
looking
But
for
Go ahead, Keegan.
you're looking for one of the goalies to kind of take the reins as the
yeah,
guy?
I mean,
to
right now,
actually
what
be
they're
more
going,
consistent?
back and forth,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, they haven't won. Coaches don't like to go back to back with a losing goalie. So yeah, you want to see a goalie have a pretty, maybe steal a game, keep the net for a little bit, ride someone. And, I would say probably 80% of that roster right now needs to pick up their game. There's probably a few guys that we would say we're content and happy with. But for the most part, there's a lot of players that need to pick it up.
So I got a question. I got a question for Boilers, but everyone, including Jack, welcome. Feel free to contribute.
And then,
before
Jack,
we
I'm going to
finish
leave.
this.
I apologize. I'm going to pass the mic on to you. Welcome. I'm going to listen to this question, and I will have to head out.
So, what do you guys think we should do with Askarov's clearly the intended future starting goaltender for the Sharks, and goalies talk about it all the time. They like consistency and seeing as many pucks as possible. Why not, even if he's had a bad game, just let him play again? Where is this thing where he's got to earn it? I feel like you should just let him play. What do you guys think?
I
If a
agree
guy
with.
is that bad though. Well, go ahead, though, Dan. Yeah.
No, I didn't see camp. I think you don't just give someone ice time. It has to be earned. From what I've heard through my sources, he didn't have a great camp. I don't know if that's true or not.
I think that's
very
accurate.
very good source. Very good source. Someone I trust. So I don't think anything should be given.
Yeah.
I think you do have to earn your spot. That being said, I like what you said, Zub. At this point, we're almost 10 games in, or we're shortly getting there. I want to see. I'd like to see the coach say, "Hey, you're going to get the next 3 games. Okay, this is your moment. Here we go." And then
Show us what you got.
I've never been a goalie, but I know as a player, knowing you're going to play,
You're weird enough to be one.
knowing you're going to play is huge, right? I know the feeling of not knowing if you're going to be in the lineup. It's a shitty feeling. It's not a good feeling. So
Yeah.
I'm not a goalie, but as a player, you want to know you're fucking playing. You don't even want to think about it. And so I wouldn't mind shortly, probably by game 10, if the coach were to tap either goalie and say, "Hey, you're getting the next 3 games. We know what the schedule is. You're going to play here, here, and here. I'm going to give you 3 fucking games. And after that, if you want to take the net, it'll be your opportunity to." And that will motivate the goalies to feel some sort of like, okay, I got a little window here where it's not just, am I in, am I out, am I cold, am I hot? That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My favorite D-man has been Dellandrea somehow. I don't know how that's happened, but like the big guy just been doing what he does. He's like our number 6D, just being physical, following up on checks and making sure that Macklin doesn't get hit too hard. It's exactly what he's there for. And I feel he's like feeling like everybody else has kind of got question marks. They're moving up and down the lineup, or they're getting scratched or whatever. But Dellandrea is just kind of there. He's like an ideal number 7 D-man to come in and when you need somebody physical. So I like him. That's my my take from the day, from the 6 games that we've lost, is that Dellandrea's been pretty good in the games he's played, and Dickinson's improving, Misa's improving, but we need a lot more from goaltending, and the forward group has just been like a line blender all over the place.
So I know that Orlov didn't start off too hot, but I think Orlov's been like our best defenseman, for sure, and I think him and Shakir.
The last 2 games.
Well, also like we haven't won a game in 6 now, right? 6, and he's a
grow 4 and 2.
And I know Dan just mitigated the importance of plus minus, but he's a +1, and he's the only plus outside of Shakir that's played all the games. So like, and he's been physical. He's moving the puck.
Yeah, he's
got 5 assists too.
But yeah, if you look at the skating, the shot, the vision. I mean, he's their best.
Yeah, he's
best defenseman,
and he's been getting better. Like you can see some coldness, but he's warming up.
I just, again, I watch the early games, and that's going to happen sometimes. But no, he's got the most upside as far as who do I think will be your top minute defenseman by game 20? Probably him. You have Mac McDoulan. Am I?
McDoulan, he's still injured. He's only played 1 game this year.
So I haven't. That was probably the last game, so I didn't see him play.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, didn't the boys go and do something on the road or something? Didn't they come together?
Yeah, they watched Book of Mormon.
Oh, that's right. We started that. But they went to the puppet. They went to the puppetry of the penis.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get off.
Jack on.
I'm gonna get off. Sorry, I'll see you guys next week. All right, I'll have some weird shit to talk about next week. Thanks, guys.
See you, bud.
Hey, see you, Dan. All right, Jack. Thank you for waiting for us. So, Jack Hahn. So Jack Hahn is helping out with San Jose Hockey Now. He is a consultant. You've seen a couple of his stories. I asked him about the Matthew Schaefer goal yesterday and how the line change of actually a veteran in Jeff Skinner and a younger player in William Macklin put the Sharks behind the defensive 8-ball on that play. Also, too, Jack is breaking down some of the systems of the Sharks. So I put out one of the first things that he did in terms of his breakdowns in terms of the Sharks play without the puck. So we did a story about that. And then also a story about their play with the puck, what they want to do when they have the puck. So that's coming out. And then also a special teams one, too. And so really excited to have those things come out. And so anyway, Jack is going to be with San Jose Hockey Now the whole year, just kind of helping out. If I have any dumb questions, hey, Jack, what's going on here? I'm going to go straight to Jack on it. But anyway, so Jack Hahn, Hockey Tactics 2025, that's his latest book, but he's going to have a Hockey Tactics 2026 coming out soon. And that's the tactics of every team in the league. Also, too, he has Hockey Tactics newsletter, which Zubair and I subscribe to. It's the best. Subscribe to that. So check that out and check him out on Twitter, JHanHKY, JHanHKY. So, Jack, thanks for waiting. Welcome.
Yeah, no problem, fellas. Thanks for having me. So, I'm here to provide more of a coach's perspective. Obviously, I've worked at the NHL level with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I've coached in the AHL. I've coached in Europe. Helped several players go from minor hockey to hopefully soon the NHL. But right now they're in the major junior ranks. So, one of the things I want to talk about with you guys is I just finished watching the Montreal Calgary game because I grew up in Montreal. I live here now, and I do a bit of media in this area. And the Canadians are where the Sharks want to be a few years down the road, right? They're
Okay.
almost. They're almost there.
Yep.
They made the playoffs last year, but this year they're looking to make a bigger dent. And, one of the biggest, I think, factors why the team is doing better is because they didn't make any rash coaching changes, right? Like the way that I've kind of, the vibe that I'm getting is, Warsofsky's on a short leash because of the team losing and things like that, and we're seeing miscues on the ice. And, the way that things are now, like Marty St. Louis gone through it, right, with this team. And if you look elsewhere in the league, whether it is Buffalo, whether it's Ottawa, teams that make a lot of coaching changes, they don't tend to walk out of rebuilds, right? You don't need to have the best or the perfect coach. You just need to have someone there long enough where you're compounding, right? It's like if we look at it, any sort of a business relationship or a personal relationship, even like if you're breaking up with your significant other after your second fight, you're not going to be able to get to the good part, right? Where, you build a family together, it's the same thing. Like you look at what's going on in Buffalo, like I don't care who the coach is. If you're only there for 12 to 18 months, you're not going to be able to build anything, right? Like I know that I'm big on sort of the tactical part of the game, the X and O's and, diagramming stuff, but ultimately what coaching is, whether it is minor hockey, whether it's the NHL, is, first of all, you want to make it so that players feel safe to make mistakes, because hockey is a game of mistakes, right? And if they don't feel safe, then, it's bad for their health, but also it's bad for their hockey, because you want to be in a position where you want to take some risk, right, on either side of the puck. But the second thing is you want to make it so that working hard and working together is cool. Like, I don't care if you're coaching like 8-year-old girls or you're coaching grown men who are playing professionally. It's the same thing. Like, we're all working together and doing our best is cool, and nobody's too cool for school, but that only works if you have a coach who can be there for a while. And again, he may or she may not be the perfect person. She may not be the most, qualified or the smartest person. But if you have continuity, you have a chance to build something, right? Like if, again, it takes 100 years for a date tree to grow dates that you can eat, right? Like you're not uprooting that tree every 2 years because you're like, well, why aren't you producing dates yet?
I think I think to your point, Jack, that's a really good one, is another thing that's sort of a linchpin of, let's say, high turnover of a coach is the players then believe that they're not the problem. There's probably some psychological element of like, oh, we changed the coach. We're a good team. We just need the right coach. And there's a lack of agency occurring on the player. Is there any of that happening as well? Do you think?
Well, I mean, you're seeing this in every single, rink across North America. If there's like a AA or a AAA team playing, and then you got parents saying, if only the coach were different, my kid will play top line, top power play, or he would start every game in nets.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what we're seeing with the Sharks right now.
Right. So this conversation, like I've seen all levels of the game, and like this conversation exists at all levels of the game. But the problem is, like, when you get into like a substitute teacher situation, everybody loses, right? Like the coaches lose obviously because they have zero job security and they don't have a great working environment. The players lose because when you're on a team with a lot of young players, they don't know what it takes to play in the NHL, and they're going to find out the hard way. So you need someone who's going to be there to support them, but also to challenge them and to hold them accountable to a certain standard, right? Like, the standard is the standard. Like, the league doesn't get easier if your coach starts asking less of you or your coach is somebody else. The league doesn't get easier.
You just answered two of the points that we talked about, I think, right before you got in, which is amazing, because one of the points, and again, I don't have an answer, I was just making points, but one of the points I was making about Sheng's question about if Warsofsky's on the hot seat was, he made a statement last season saying that, he's not going to shortcut professional development of these players, even if it, he's going to stick. He's like, he mentioned that, failed rebuilds are a result of like focusing on like, hey, let's go score goals, but you're missing these professional details in the defensive end, for example. And second, like, and that you just answered with like, hey, you have to maintain your professional standards. And then the other concern I have was, you have players like Schaefer and Hudson that have come into the league and made an immediate impact. And outside of Celebrini, the Sharks, which is like, let's just put him as an outlier, right? As an individual outlier. The Sharks haven't had a lot of, even their higher prospects that have had like an immediate impact. And I wonder sometimes if that's like a confidence issue. Dickinson's come in, and some of the things where he's had opportunities to play his game, you see this nervousness in him. And I wonder if the coach is doing a good enough job making him feel comfortable making those mistakes. But Sheng said he was, and he is, and he's got his back, and same with Askarov.
I think so, at least.
Yes, and that's the only part where I don't know if he is or he's not, but that I may be critical of, because you see these young kids being themselves, and we talked about this last podcast, and Keegan, you were going to chime in too.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the fan anger. It's like you see guys that are veterans make mistakes, and some are held accountable, some are not. And then you see guys like Mukabadula make a mistake, or Dickinson make a mistake, or Graf make a mistake, and they get scratched a game, rather than somebody else who has been in the league forever, they keep playing. So it's like the same thing. If you need reps, if you need the same coach to be there for 3 years, you still also need the same players to make those mistakes in the same games to make those mistakes. They can't just be like immediately thrown into a line and then scratched to the next game. And this is the same thing that happened last year with players as well. When they get in, as soon as they make a mistake, especially stick penalties, like Warsaw just pulls them out. And it's frustrating, I guess, as a fan, because I think we have a lot of hope for guys like Bukbadula. We got hope for Dickinson. We got hope for Misa. And I think the cream will rise to the top, but that's the frustration. Is there are guys that are in the lineup making mistakes consistently every night, and they don't get benched because that's just the way that the NHL is. So it seems like that's what we have to accept, basically, and that's the way that fans feel.
And this is a great question for Dan. To Keegan's point, is where is that spectrum of, hey, you are maintaining the standard, or you're being too hard and creating like a bit of nervousness and anxiety in these players? How do you as a coach sort of balance that?
Oh, for Jack, you mean? You said for Dan.
Sorry, for Jack. I apologize. Yeah, for Jack.
The specter of Dan Boyle. Chuckles.
But Jack, what do you think of everything? Actually, I'm curious what do you think of what Keegan said too, because of course you talk with a lot of fans too. I'm sure you see Montreal, right? Montreal is the cauldron of fan opinion. So
I'll keep the first part short. Okay, so we're talking about veterans making mistakes, not getting benched, and kids making mistakes and getting like in every single market we're hearing the same thing, and it's just at this point, having been on both sides of sort of this equation, I accept it as a fact of life that coaches are more comfortable with players with experience, and it's like when you have a track record, then you get more leash, and I think not everybody's gonna like that, because we love young players who have potential, and we see hope. But that's just a fact of life. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like, what are the Sharks actually missing right now? And, I watch every team in the league, so I don't hyper-focus on the Sharks specifically. And when I compare the Sharks versus teams, like Montreal, who are further along, or to teams that are Stanley Cup contenders, there's two things that I'm seeing elsewhere that I don't see with the Sharks. So the first thing is, off an offensive zone entry, the Sharks, they're just not able to get that first shot on goal to put the other team under pressure. And it's not like an always or never thing. It's just they do it at a less frequent basis, right? And whenever you get the puck toward the net, obviously in a coordinated way, right? It's not just like a haphazard shot from outside the blue line, but you start building pressure. And the more pressure you build, the more opportunities you have to create mistakes on your opponent's part. And the Sharks, they're just not getting that first play in. On the flip side, defensively, is, we talked about that goal against off the line change against the Islanders. Well, it's not so much the structure that's the problem, is that the players are late getting into structure. Or, if it's an emergency situation, they're not making the right decision, because, when we talk about pressure, they're under tremendous pressure, and sometimes you just make the wrong call, which everybody can do that, right? So again, the problem with the Sharks is offensively, they're not able to induce pressure in their opponents, and then defensively, they're vulnerable to pressure because they're not as coordinated. And in the grand scheme of things, the best way to get better is obviously you get better players, right? And your younger players get older and more experienced and stronger and better. But the third thing is just continuity and compounding. And again, like for about 3 to 4 years, like Montreal had terrible defensive metrics, and this year all of a sudden they're average or maybe even a little bit above average. Well, why? Well, they brought in Noah Dobson at the top end of the roster, which helps a lot. Demidov has given them even more depth now up front, but mostly it's because it's the same core group of players playing for 4, 5, 6 years now, and they've all gotten better together under the same voice. And that's what you get, like if you play the stock market and at the first sign of trouble, you're pulling all your investments, you're not getting that compounding, right? So there is an element of like, yes, sometimes you have to sell, but by and large, people make money in the markets because they hold or they buy.
Time in the market versus timing the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the question is then for the Sharks, it's like, are our stocks really Leddy and Klingberg and these guys, or are they just the placeholders? And I think that the answer is pretty clear that they're placeholder guys. So we want to see, especially if they're 0-4-2 and these guys have not produced good results, we want to see Kenyoni, we want to see Mukabadulin, we want to see Dickinson, and we don't want to see, 1 high danger chance for and 12 against if you're like Nick Leddy or Klingberg or Lil Chagrin, or even like name the defenseman du jour who is decent but is not pushing the envelope for the Sharks. Well, that's just my opinion. Like it's tough. You want to see more growth, I think, especially defensively. I just like the offensively, we've got Celebrini, we got Smith, we got Misa. It feels like we're growing something there. Defensively, it feels like the same team for the last 6 years. Like we're just letting in goals, and no matter who we put on there, it doesn't matter. It's just gonna keep going. And you could list all the guys that are not in the NHL anymore that have been on the Sharks blue line for the past 6 years, and it's probably a pretty decent amount. And I think that's going to continue next year and the year after. So that's the biggest problem I see with the Sharks is we just don't have that guy. Even if that guy, for like Montreal's example, is Lane Hudson is an offensive guy. They've got Matheson. They've got Dobson. They have good players, and the Sharks just don't have long-term bets on defense. They really don't. So I'm concerned. But, things can change really quickly. So.
Well, Jack, my question, I guess, related to Keegan's, though, is it a danger to give Kenyoni, Dickinson, like that kind of inexperienced defenseman, just, hey, here's 20 minutes a night, do your best? Like, is that a concern, or is that maybe overblown concern, I guess, on my part, I guess?
Kenyoni, I wouldn't give 20 minutes a night.
Well,
Dickinson, probably.
Sure, but just big minutes, though. But you're talking about just giving them a job. You're saying, send Leddy somewhere, whatever, wave him again, and then give Kenyoni his job, or Dickinson, right?
Not Kenyoni specifically. Mukabadulin was the one that I was most upset with. Yeah.
But anyway, though, just is there a danger of giving guys minutes that maybe they're not ready for, I guess?
Well, is there a danger? Look, here's how I would put it. What if you put a middle schooler in high school? What's the danger there, right? Because there's a number of middle schoolers who can handle the academic load, but can all of them handle,
Sure.
The social pressure? Can all of them handle, their self-image changing or their friend group changing? Like, why is Celebrini not wowing people as much this year as last year, right? Imagine him like a 6th grader hanging out with, sophomores or juniors or high school seniors, right? Like he's out of his element in a way that is like very dramatic. And it's not just because he's playing the best league in the world, there's everything else that goes with it, right? And, you talk about Askarov, like we all know, like the thing with Askarov is like he's tremendously athletic and he's super talented in how he sees the puck and how he moves the puck, but mentally he's on and off. And so for an athlete like that, the challenge is not so much like we know he can get to the puck, or we know that he's good for 7 or 8 spectacular saves in a game. But the point of playing goalie at the NHL level is you can let in one bad goal every other game, any more than that, you're going to be out of a job. So the biggest problem is not like whether you're physically ready or whether you have the skills.
Sure.
It's like, how is that going to affect your mental process? Because if you put Askarov, let's say, you put him in every game, no questions asked, and he's like, I'm going to make 20 highlight reel saves. Amazing, right? But I'm also going to let in 2 goals a game that are completely preventable. And at the end of the year, my goals against average is like 3.8 or 4.2. You have a guy who's unplayable. Like, there's no point in doing anything with him, because if he believes that that's his mental process, then there's no NHL job that he's going to be able to hold down. And it's the same with any other player, whether it's a forward, whether it's a D, especially defenseman. Like, you know, like everybody's in awe of Matthew Schaefer right now, but let's see what happens next year, right? Like, Lane Hudson is managing that right now. Like, it's not about, like, if you have a great rookie year, great. But what's going to happen your sophomore year? What's going to happen your third year, your fourth year, things like that. So if you want to, again, as a player, if you want to be good, or as a team, if you want to be good for a long time, you have to have a sound mental process. And the only way you can develop that is if you have continuity. Like, again, if we think about our personal situation, like if our family is not doing well, if people are in and out of our lives, like, that's not good for us. And it's the same thing with the young players. Like, you look at like Buffalo, or if you look at Ottawa, or you name it, you know.
So this is interesting, because I like these analogies that you're providing, Chuck, that are sort of teetering in a lot of different areas. But one consistent theme that I notice is like just relationships. It's a lot of relationship development, and what you look for is security. Like, you know, if you guys know your attachment styles, right? You know, you were looking for a secure relationship, and it sounds like to get the best out of a player, sometimes you just need to make them feel really comfortable and give them that security and consistency in being able to fulfill that position.
But that's the reason why it's so hard to coach, you know, at the pro level or at any level, is you have to walk the line between making your athletes feel comfortable versus challenging them. So making them uncomfortable, right? It's, and
like, that's that balance.
Yeah. So
again.
if you're, and we see with hockey parents, like, there's some parents who are like, good job, right? Like, doesn't matter how bad you play. It's like, oh, good job, you did great today. And then there's other parents who, like, no matter how well you did, they're like, you did this, this, and this. Well, why didn't you do that, right? So, and both style of parents can produce NHLers, but both also can not produce. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every case is different.
And is that relative to the player?
Yeah,
and the child.
But that's right? What I'm saying. Like, if you have a new coach coming in every 18 months and they can't learn, you know, enough about the players,
each player,
and they're making mistakes left and right because they don't have enough experience, or they don't have a feel for the situation. So again, just, you know, I'm going to cut this short. It's just, I think firing Warsofsky is going to create some hope in the fan base, but that's all it's going to be. It's going to be sort of a short-term eyewash sort of situation where, you know, you're throwing away far more than what you potentially can look to gain.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
Jack, thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just want to say I don't want to keep Jack on for too long, so he actually is specifically here to promote something. But go ahead, Zubair, if you have one more for him.
I had 2 quick questions, but I want you to promote something. I don't know how quick, if you can answer them quickly or not, but we had a mailbag a couple weeks ago, and we had some fans ask us, like, how can I watch hockey better? And as someone that it loves your work, and Keegan had a great answer about pattern recognition. Do you have some advice to all of us and our fans and our listeners to how to watch hockey better?
I mean, if you're someone who's watched hockey for a number of years, I would recommend that you turn the volume down. And this is something that I do when I watch hockey, is I watch on mute, because
Me too.
You will pick up things on the ice that you want to think about, and having somebody else talking at you while you're thinking makes for... It just slows you down, right? So if you don't know the rules, if you don't know offside, icing, sure, you know, leave the commentators on, you know, they'll teach you some things. But at a certain point, you're going to have your own questions that you want to explore, and I would highly encourage that.
That's a great tip.
That's a great tip, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a number of different like benefits to it. Like you said, like, you don't want somebody kind of like putting that thought in your brain. If you have that thought and it's already there, like, that was a good pass, that was a good play, or something like that. I think if you've been watching hockey, like you said, for a number of years, you can just kind of predict that the announcer's going to say that. Oftentimes when I'm watching with my fiance, like I'll say, oh, that was a good shot, or that was a good play, and the announcer says it, half a second later. It's like, that's the kind of thing that you want to be able to get to, is that pattern recognition of what is a good play. And that's all hockey is. It's just the microcosm of good plays and bad plays. They're just like diluted down into a full 60-minute game. So it's just, yeah. Pattern recognition, watch on mute. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. And then the second question that I've been ruminating about for a little bit was, is it true that Carolina is the last team playing a man-on-man defense in the league?
That's I think it's a false dichotomy, because every team plays zone defense sometimes and every team plays man-on-man sometimes.
Okay.
Carolina definitely, they skew more toward man-on-man, and the reason why we all know it's because they're very good at it, but also, once they get very deep in the playoffs, there's some limitations that show up. My former colleague Andrew Brewer, who I think now works for Anaheim, actually, he did a study, and no team in like the past, I don't know, say 15 years has won with a pure man-on-man defense like Carolina's. Yeah. So, the reason why you play zone defense is basically you're defending an area, right? You're defending the high danger area. You're not chasing people around all the time, and it's a little bit more passive. But again, when you're on the run, when your team is going back to that goal against off that line change, when you have a disadvantage, you want to buy time, and zone defense allows you to buy time. If you're man on man, you can't buy time. You just got to move faster and hopefully make that play.
You answered my follow-up question to that, so thank you.
Jack is down.
Cheated. I had 2.5 questions. Sorry, I love the time with you, but all right, let's hear about what you wanted to plug as well, and what you want to talk about.
Well,
go ahead, Jack.
When Sheng approached me this year about working a little bit together, I was like, I'm sure there's a lot of minor hockey players and parents out in San Jose who are interested in getting some good information. So I would encourage anybody, listening to this podcast or who's subscribing to San Jose Hockey Now, get in touch with Sheng and just send Sheng your questions about, whether you play minor hockey, whether you coach minor hockey, whether you're a parent. I want to sort of understand the lay of the land. I've lived in NorCal in the past, but I've never played or coached hockey there. And I think it could be an opportunity for me to, first of all, just learn a little bit more about, the audience that I'm talking to, and second, maybe to solve some of your problems.
Oh, I'm going to send you my Live Barn clips from Beer League.
Beer League is easy, okay? Drink less beer and go to the gym more often. It's easy.
Oh, I'm good at that. That part I have handled.
Yeah.
It's understanding where to be that I could use some work with, but no, that's great. And we got tons of people from San Jose Hockey development and stuff. I know tons of coaches. We will definitely get those questions over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can send it to me at shengpeng@gmail, or you guys know my Twitter, or you can send it to sjhockeynow@gmail. And I will get them over to Jack so you can see them, or you can just send them to Jack too. So Jack, what's a good way for people to reach you?
So you can actually email me directly at jack.han@hey.com. So hey is HEY.com. That's my inbox that I use for sort of, public-facing queries.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So just let them know that you're in the San Jose area, or that you're a San Jose Hockey Now subscriber or listener or follower or reader or whatever. But yeah, I think it is really interesting to Jack's point, because there are a lot of people, junior Sharks. I mean, Sharks Ice has 6 sheets, so there's a lot of hockey going on. And so any questions you have about just developing your child as a hockey player, well, Jack is your man right here.
All right, thank you, fellas. I got to head to bed now. It's like past midnight where I am.
Yeah.
But we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jack. Pleasure.
Good.
Take care.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, boys. I got a beer league game to play, and I'm a little late, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here. That was a quick hour and a half.
It was a really quick hour and a half. Yeah, I felt like we didn't have enough time, but yeah, Keegan, do you want to stay on a little bit? Let's. I want you to have a closing thought, because I feel like you didn't get to talk enough this episode to Jack.
Let me grab a water real quick, and then we will do a closing thing.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Boys.
We've gone from 5 people now down to 2 people.
The original 2.
4, 5, 3, 2. Yeah, we've gone all over the place on this podcast in an hour and a half, but it's been a fun podcast. Even though the Sharks continue to lose hockey games, I think, like we mentioned a couple of times, the last game against the Islanders was it was encouraging, I think is the way to put it. I really liked Misa, Graf, and Gaudette as a line. I think that was a really interesting thing. And another example of what we said earlier, like you can put a guy like Misa in the bottom 6 and he can do things that can impact the game. And I think him and Graf is a good combination. So hopefully that continues going forward and Misa continues to grow his confidence, because that's what he needs. It's just confidence. Smart player, great play connector, but there's things he can't do entirely at the NHL level just yet. But there are things that he has that he can bring to the table. So I hope that is fostered a little bit with Misa. Last thing about Dickinson, and I mentioned it a few times on Twitter, and I think Warsaw mentioned it too, is like the processing speed is like the issue with certain things, like certain plays in the defensive zone, certain plays that he needs to make offensively that just aren't, they're half second behind. And like the example where he got scored on against in the Islanders game is a perfect example. He has a half a second to make the play. You've either got to bring it around the boards, you've got to chip it up the middle, you've got to protect the puck against the boards, you've got to do something, and he does nothing. And that's the same thing that happened when he tried to put the puck underneath the goaltender. I think it was against Carolina.
Yeah, it was Carolina. It was the Carrier goal. Oh, Carrier, William Carrier goal.
He thinks that, he's got that extra time, he can put it into the goaltender, he's getting checked, and then the puck's in the net. It's that half second step that is, or he misjudges his depth and somebody's behind him and it's a half a second, and that's all it is that speed. The only way he's going to get it is if he keeps playing, keeps doing reps. It's just the Sharks are going to let in some goals when that happens, and I think Warsofsky's said the same thing. Like, Schaefer makes mistakes, but it doesn't end up in his net, and right now it's ending up in the Sharks' net every time because of many things, but goaltending is one of them as well. So I'm not worried about Dickinson. I think he's still going to be a great player for the Sharks long term. It's just that's the biggest thing. But when he has time and space, when you could see the tools, it's there. And like he's got the skating, he's got all of the things that he needs to be a top 4 NHL defenseman. Just this is going to be growing pains, but I don't want to see him go back to juniors, and that's my biggest worry, is that he keeps making these mistakes. Like they have 9D, right? Like they might send it back, and that's going to suck for me. But
what I was really encouraged by, though, was to see him get better. Like that Carolina game, not only did he not go into some tailspin, which, like, okay, he has to go back because he's clearly losing confidence, but he really did pick up his game against Pittsburgh, and it's just one game, of course. But even the Islanders, sure, he made mistakes, but he also made good plays, too. Yep. And so I like that he is able to handle some of the worst stuff that has been handed to him already, and he hasn't crumbled with that. And so if he can do that, then why not keep him up? And I feel like it's trending toward them keeping him up, actually.
I hope so.
I know Elliot Friedman just said that the Sharks are always looking to trade a defenseman because none of their defensemen are real top 4 defensemen at this point, it feels like. But in that case, though, that would sort of open a door for him. So I feel like, even though I predicted that they wouldn't keep him, that to me he has shown enough in terms of to me the biggest worry, and we talked to Jack about this, and Jack I think kind of noted that if the kid, clearly, just using Jack's example, if the kid belongs in middle school and you put him in a high school, you're really messing him up potentially, right?
It could be,
and so that's always my worry with young defensemen, and that's why I'm very conservative in my estimations of them. But if you can get like these good moments though, and they come like sort of like, it's not like he just has a good stretch and he drops off for the rest. That's what you worry about. That he when you keep him the rest of the season and he has a protracted slump, so there is some worry about that. But at least in this little stretch we've seen, these 4 games, like, yeah, we've seen lows, but we've seen highs too. And we've seen highs that came after lows. And I like that. And so if this kind of sort of like up and down, as long as there's consistent ups, then I feel pretty good about that, because that means that he's learning and he's not being sort of dragged down too much by the lows. I don't know. This is an internal conversation that the Sharks know better than you and I, and how Sam is handling it, and if he really is suited for these peaks and valleys. But again, I was encouraged by his response to Carolina, and so that's a big part of why I'm starting to think that, okay, there's a better argument for that, because if it was to keep him, because it was like Carolina and maybe got a little better but not much better, it's just kind of like, okay, like this is not, he is indeed, like Jack says, he is that too young for this, and there's nothing wrong with him, I know you mentioned Schaefer and Hudson, but these are such different comparisons. Hudson was older when he came in, right? And Schaefer is just Schaefer. Schaefer is just
it's different.
Right now, at the moment, he is looking like Macklin did last year in terms of just his ability to handle the league. But then to that point that Jack made too, like what's he going to do next year? And remind everybody that Tyler Myers came into the league as an 18-year-old and won the Calder Trophy, and he kind of just plateaued for whatever reason, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with Schaefer, but the point though, I guess, sticking with the Dickinson point, is just that those are not like apt comparisons. Those are just sort of like apples and oranges there.
Yeah, and people do compare him to Buium, because Buium was selected really like the next pick or the next pick after.
Fair. Yeah, it's a little more fair. But
fans really wanted Buium, but I think even I watched Buium tonight because they're playing the Devils tonight, and I chose Buium for my draft. I like Buium. The thing is like Buium is what he is. He's put up a lot of points, but I think he had his first even strength point tonight. There's still a lot defensively that's not there. Physically, it's not there with Buium. So I like his offense. He's going to be a power play quarterback in the future. The Sharks were looking for a different type of defenseman in Dickinson, and there's still that potential there. It's just going to take longer, I think.
Yeah,
that's somebody who loves Buium and watches. Like I think he's a great hockey player, but that's why the Sharks took him instead of Buium. Is there's something that you can really hang your hat on as a all situations defender that you can't with Buium, I would say. At least you never know. Maybe he develops into that, and Buium has been a winner everywhere, so it's tough to say like he can't become that in the NHL. But it's just you see it in Dickinson that there is something else that you can put over the boards at any moment, that you want to reserve special situations for Buium. So I don't know.
I think that goes back to the conversation last week about the degrees of draft philosophies, right? Like I think that is interesting years from now that we can revisit with Morehouse that decision, because maybe Doug Jr., we talked about last week, would have picked Buium.
Probably.
It sounds like the profile sounds like his guy a little more. So yeah.
But at some point, the Sharks do need one of these guys. They need a Hudson. They need a Buium. They need somebody who's going to drive the offense. I think it's just we've got to find it. I'm not really too worried about Dickinson being a good defenseman. I just don't think he's ever going to be on like the level of even we'll see. But And obviously watching Matthew Schaefer made everybody kind of bummed out. But also Michael Misa had a great game. I thought he looked great. And Misa's going to be a great forward going forward. It's just we can't win it every year, guys. Like we needed Schaefer, but it's okay. We still get a great player in Misa.
You can't lose everything and expect to win it every year.
Every single year. And this year maybe we'll win it. And McKenna's doing okay. Watched a few games of his. I think he's doing fine. There are some talks about like, is Verhoeff going to overtake him or who else? So.
Okay.
But we'll see. It's just early season talk about McKenna versus Like a guy like Verhoeff, who's very much like in the mold of what teams want in defensemen, whereas McKenna, kind of like in that what happened to James Higgins last year, where there's a shit ton of expectations and he hasn't like put up 3 points a game, so everybody's what's going on?
Right, yeah.
But you never know. He's still got a ton of skill. So, anyway, that's the prospect corner of the week, I guess. I don't have much else to say. We need to do that. Right?
No, we'll develop it. We'll get a regular segment going.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from these games? I don't know. They've been fun to watch. I just really want to win. Like I feel it. Whereas 2 years ago, last year even, like I didn't care. Now I just want wins. So I'm sure the Sharks are feeling the exact same way.
I guess the lesson is don't have your owner have a. No, just joking.
Or don't have children, so you can't sacrifice them to the hockey gods for a win. When you didn't ask Warsofsky which kid, that was the saddest part.
Yeah, that would have gone over really well, Keegan.
Yeah, I'm sure that would add one more dart to the Keegan face in the locker room.
Exactly, and no, we love Haas, so so always want to hear from him what he thinks. Yep. So yeah,
I'm sure he's sending in his email to sjhockeynow@gmail.com. Also is to get on the show. That'd be the get of all time, Sheng.
It would be.
Anyway, we will see you all next week unless you have something else, Sheng.
No, I think we covered a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. Hopefully the team does get that win. It is I don't know. I don't know how to compare it to other years because I haven't really thought of it. It feels different. Obviously, the record's the same, but it feels a little different. But I haven't quite figured. I mean, I'm different than all the losing streaks that the Sharks have started the season with. I mean,
yeah, I think that they start off Vegas so good, and then they were back in overtime the next game, and they had this great game against. Not great game, but good game against the Islanders. They had a good game against Pittsburgh. Like, there's good games in here. There's just can't put it all together. So, who do they play next? I actually haven't looked.
They have the Rangers and Devils. Rangers on Thursday, the Devils on Friday, and Minnesota on Sunday.
I say they beat the Rangers. That's my prediction.
That's probably the team that you feel the best about because the Rangers are struggling. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Devils look at the moment. The Devils look like a bit of a wagon. So
yeah, they were looking very solid against Minnesota tonight. So yeah, I'm not too thrilled about that, but yeah, they'll get it against the Rangers. That's it. We got the win here. 2-1 in overtime. That's the one. All right, y'all. Hope you guys have a good week. Bye.